China celebrates Meng Wanzhou's return as a victory, even at the cost of its global image from the moment a government-chartered plane lifted Meng out of Canada, where the CFO spent nearly 3 years living under house arrest in her multimillion-dollar mansion. Her journey home has become an all-out nationalist propaganda blitz. A red carpet and crowds waving Chinese flags awaited her on the tarmac in the southern city of Shenzhen, where the tech giant Huawei is headquartered. Patriotic slogans and songs resounded in the arrival hall of the airport. Downtown skyscrapers lit up with messages welcoming her home. The event was broadcast live by state media, and the internet was abuzz with excitement. An online live stream by state broadcaster CCTV ran for 6 straight hours, attracting more than 83 million views. That's more than double the 38 million views of the launch of China's manned mission to send 3 astronauts into space in June. Without a powerful motherland, I wouldn't have my freedom today, Meng wrote in a lengthy social media post during her flight, which was widely shared online and read out word for word by a state television anchor. For the domestic audience, Meng's homecoming has been framed as a story of China's diplomatic victory and a sign of its growing political clout. According to that narrative, Meng is an innocent victim of political persecution by the United States to crush China's high-tech industry.
The situation has been portrayed as the Chinese government standing up to the US to get a citizen back. They stood up to the bully and the bully backed down, said Jeremy Doohan, the legal expert at the Paul Side China Center at Yale Law School. State media reports highlighted the fact Meng pleaded not guilty, but skipped over her admission that she misled banking giant HSBC about Huawei's relationship with an Iranian subsidiary. US prosecutors allege that could have put the bank at risk of sanctions violations. It's a very biased presentation of the whole story, but it's not surprising, said Jean-Pierre Cabeston, an expert on Chinese politics at Hong Kong Baptist University. Hiding part of the truth, the part that does not serve China's interests and its government's image. Beijing's propaganda win at home stands in stark contrast to the hit the country's reputation has taken abroad. In the eyes of many observers, the ruling Communist Party has dropped any pretense about its apparent willingness to take political hostages by releasing 2 Canadians moments after Meng gained her freedom. Michael Kovrig, a former Canadian diplomat, and Michael Spavor, an entrepreneur with business ties to North Korea, were detained on espionage charges days after Meng was arrested in Vancouver in December 2018. The move was widely interpreted as direct retaliation for Meng. Beijing has repeatedly denied it was holding the 2 Canadians as political hostages. I have to point out that the Meng Wanzhou incident and the cases of Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig are entirely different in nature, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said earlier this month, accusing Canada of having sensationalized what it called isolated cases. Donald C. Clark, a specialist in Chinese law at George Washington University, said while he thinks it was clear from the outset that the detention of the pair was connected to Meng's case, the scholarly and journalistic communities were surprised by how closely their releases were timed. We all thought China would put more of a fig leaf on the exchange by waiting a certain amount of time, he said. One way of interpreting this is China anticipates engaging in hostage-taking in the future, and is strengthening its bargaining position by showing what a reliable deal-maker it is, that if you just give us what we want, we'll free the hostages right away, with no fuss. If you don't trust the kidnapper to actually return the hostages, you might not give them such a big ransom. Initially, Chinese state media was mostly silent on the release of the 2 Canadians, while discussions about their fate were scrubbed from social media. Then, on Sunday night, several state-run outlets reported the Canadians had confessed their guilt for crimes and were bailed out on medical grounds, though they did not mention Meng's case. I think they have really poisoned relations with Canada for quite some time, Clark said. They've taken a big PR hit. According to the Pew Research Centre, 73% of Canadians surveyed this year held negative opinions of China, compared with 40% in 2017. Political tensions between Ottawa and Beijing have also become increasingly fraught. In February, Canada's parliament passed a motion declaring China committed genocide against its minority or Uyghur Muslim population. A month later, Canada joined the United States and other allies in sanctioning 2 Chinese officials for serious human rights abuses against Uyghurs. China has denied the accusations. The release of Meng and the 2 Michaels also won't likely help Huawei or Beijing avert hefty sanctions that Washington has handed the country. Analysts at Jefferies said Sunday they did not think Meng's release would cause the United States to lift sanctions on Huawei that allow the company to access chipsets that help it make 5G equipment, for example. Biden's deal with China on Meng already received some Republicans' criticism as capitulation to China, the analysts wrote in a research note. Huawei has previously acknowledged that its business has been severely hampered by the US punishments. In many Western countries, concerns are also growing over China's hostage diplomacy, experts say. By trumpeting that China is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve its international ambitions, people from countries whose governments have upset Beijing could feel increasingly worried about traveling there. Even though the probability for any person is extremely low, if it happens, the burden of that is extremely high. If you're a rational calculator, you are going to be concerned about this, Clark said.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.